The whole thing is set up. They have to have Prince Harry coming in because he's her ticket. We wouldn't talk about Meghan Markle.
The discovery came without warning. Palace investigators uncovered a bank account that Lady Maren Vale, Duchess of Atherwood, had kept hidden for years, containing transactions that raised immediate red flags. King Alastair and Prince Rowan realized they could no longer shield her. What the account revealed went far beyond simple financial missteps, and when the full details emerged, they faced a decision that would shake the kingdom. The routine audit that changed everything began in the Royal Treasury Office, an institution that had operated with centuries of careful precision, documenting and reviewing every pound spent within the royal household. Most years, the annual audit passed without incident, but in early December 2025, something unusual appeared in the numbers. Margaret Hartley, a senior accountant with nearly 20 years in the Treasury, made the discovery. She understood the patterns, the flow of funds through each royal estate. When she reviewed the Atherwood household accounts from before Prince Adrian and Lady Maren withdrew from royal duties, she noticed small discrepancies, payments that were slightly off, expenses that didn't match records of official engagements. While another accountant might have dismissed them as clerical errors, Margaret knew that small inconsistencies often hinted at larger problems. She spent 3 days examining the records, cross-referencing payment dates with public schedules, comparing invoices with confirmed events, and the more she looked, the more her concern grew. The discrepancies formed a pattern, money moving in ways that did not align with standard operations. She brought her findings to Thomas Blackwell, the veteran financial director who had served under 3 monarchs, and when he saw the documents, his expression tightened. This required immediate escalation. Thomas Blackwell, who had overseen royal finances through 3 different reigns, immediately recognized the gravity of what Margaret had uncovered, and within hours the matter was elevated to Sir Clive Ardent, the King's private secretary. Sir Clive understood that even the slightest hint of financial impropriety could spiral into catastrophe, media frenzy, parliamentary inquiries, and damage to the monarchy's fragile public credibility, so he ordered a full but highly confidential investigation. A discreet team was assembled: Margaret and Thomas from finance, 2 senior legal advisors, and a seasoned forensic investigator named Sarah Chun, all sworn to absolute secrecy. Throughout December, they combed through bank statements, wire transfers, vendor contracts, and expense reports until they found something that should never have existed: payments flowing to an obscure consulting firm no one had heard of, with fees far too large for ordinary public relations work. Sarah dug deeper and discovered the firm was registered in Delaware, a jurisdiction notorious for privacy protections, with no website, no social media, no public footprint, red flags at every turn. When the firm's bank records arrived, the truth sharpened. Funds from the Atherwood household were not staying within the firm, but were being transferred immediately to an offshore account in the Channel Islands. The team spent Christmas in total secrecy, tracing financial trails across borders, building timelines that mapped each movement of money, and what emerged was deeply unsettling. The offshore account had been opened in early 2019, shortly after Prince Adrian's marriage to Lady Maren Vale, and money began pouring in almost instantly, hundreds of thousands of pounds over the years. The timing was the most disturbing part. The largest deposits appeared days after major royal events, intimate family gatherings, state occasions, and private meetings that later became fodder for public speculation. The correlation was too precise to dismiss. Someone with inside access was monetizing royal information. In early January 2026, Sarah presented her findings to Sir Clive: an illicit offshore account, suspicious payment patterns, and deposit timings that violated every protocol governing royal financial conduct. And when Sir Clive finally asked the question no one wanted to voice: who controlled the offshore account, the evidence pointed unmistakably toward Lady Maren Vale. The account had been created shortly after Lady Maren Vale entered the royal family, and the consulting firm receiving the funds was operated by someone with prior ties to her, a connection too significant to overlook. Realizing the implications, Sir Clive Ardent made the decision that would change everything. King Alastair had to be informed immediately, and after him, Prince Rowan as well, because what they had uncovered was not merely a financial anomaly, but evidence that a member of the royal household had been monetizing their position in ways that violated every principle the institution claimed to uphold. The offshore account itself sat quietly in a bank in Jersey, indistinguishable from thousands of other accounts used by wealthy clients seeking financial privacy. But beneath its mundane exterior lay something far more intricate. Opened in March 2019, when Lady Meghan had been a working royal for less than a year, still learning protocols and cultivating her public image, the account was woven through an elaborate chain of entities. A British Virgin Islands corporation owned by a Delaware company, which in turn was managed by a Swiss trust. Each layer added distance, deniability, and difficulty, but the investigators, supported by experts in international finance, used court orders and specialized tools to peel back the structure piece by piece until they identified the beneficial owner, someone with direct, undeniable ties to Lady Meghan. The design was too sophisticated for an amateur. Someone had crafted the architecture specifically to conceal ownership while preserving access. Someone versed in the complexity of global banking and secrecy jurisdictions. Money flowed in from multiple sources. The Delaware consulting firm that had built the Atherwood household, entertainment studios in Los Angeles, production companies in film and television, and media organizations specializing in celebrity coverage. The deposits varied £10,000 here, £25,000 there, sometimes £50,000 in a single transfer, but the timing made investigators pause. Payments arrived in clusters, often within days of major royal events or private family moments that later became the subject of public fascination. A large deposit cleared 3 days after an intimate family meeting at Dunthorne House. Another followed a state banquet where Lady Meghan had been photographed with foreign dignitaries. The pattern suggested coordination, someone providing access or information, and someone paying handsomely for it. The media companies involved were not random either. Many had produced content about the royal family, while others were linked to journalists known for their insider palace stories, forming a web that pointed toward a disturbing possibility. Royal access was being sold. The web of connections pointed toward a disturbing truth: royal access was being monetized. The offshore account didn't simply accumulate funds. Money flowed out just as quickly, with transfers to US banks, property investments in California, and diversified assets, scattered across multiple jurisdictions, suggesting someone quietly building an independent fortune. Palace legal advisors reviewed the evidence with care, acknowledging that while offshore accounts and layered corporate structures were legal, the total arrangement violated royal protocols entirely. No member of the royal family was permitted to profit from their position, sell access, or conceal financial dealings from palace oversight. Sir Clive Ardent stared at the bank statements, shell companies, and transaction logs spread across his desk. The secret account no one knew existed threatened the very foundations of the monarchy. Prince Rowan learned of the discovery on a bleak January morning at Greyhaven Palace, when Sir Clive arrived unannounced. Carrying a leather briefcase filled with documents Rowan was unprepared to see. Though the meeting had been scheduled as a routine briefing, Rowan recognized the severity in Sir Clive's expression before a single word was spoken. Methodically, Sir Clive laid out the evidence: the hidden offshore account, the suspicious timing of payments, the deliberately obscured ownership structure, and the undeniable links to Lady Meghan Vale. Rowan listened in rigid silence, his jaw clenched as each revelation confirmed suspicions he had tried for years to suppress. From the beginning, something about Lady Meghan had felt calculated. The way she posed for cameras, navigated publicity, and manipulated narratives with an ease that lifelong royals had never mastered. He had cautioned Prince Adrian before the wedding, urging a longer engagement, but Adrian had reacted with anger, accusing Rowan of jealousy and mistrust, a confrontation that left wounds neither brother fully healed from. Adrian chose Meghan over the Council of Family, believing in a version of love Rowan feared was an illusion. Now, confronted with evidence of calculated financial deceit, Rowan felt a bit of vindication he had never wanted. The documents suggested that Lady Meghan had been monetizing her royal status almost from the moment she arrived, building secret financial networks while smiling for photographers, accepting payments from entertainment companies while attending state events, transforming royal access into a commodity, and doing it all while Adrian, heartbreakingly, seemed unaware. Rowan asked the questions he dreaded. Was Adrian involved? Did he know? But investigators had found no trace of his participation. No signatures, no linked accounts, no payments directed to him, leaving Rowan with the painful realization that his brother had been deceived as thoroughly as the institution itself. Prince Rowan realized with bitter clarity that his brother Adrian was entirely unaware of what Lady Meghan Vale had been doing. The revelation made everything more painful. Adrian had sacrificed family bonds to protect his wife, blind to the fact that she had been betraying the institution he was born into. Rowan wanted to confront Maren immediately, to demand answers and force an explanation, but Sir Clive Ardent counselled patience. The king had to be informed first. This decision could not rest with Rowan alone. Though anger burned in his chest, he understood the necessity. He thought of every family gathering where Maren had sat across from him, smiling and chatting, of christenings, weddings, and formal events where she had performed the role of devoted duchess. All a carefully constructed performance hiding something far darker. He also thought of Adrian, the brother he had protected through childhood, shared grief over their mother's death, and the painful years that followed. Adrian was about to learn that his wife had been exploiting their family for financial gain, a truth that would devastate him. Rowan made a choice. Before the king was informed or any action taken, he needed a private conversation with his father, not as Prince of Wales to monarch, but as son to father, so that Charles could grasp the familial stakes as well as the institutional ones. After the meeting with Sir Clive, Rowan sat alone, staring blankly at his office walls, feeling the full weight of what was coming. Meanwhile, forensic accountants traced the money trail with meticulous precision, aware that every detail mattered in complex financial investigations. A single transaction could unlock a vast network. A date could reveal a pattern. A recipient's name could connect otherwise unrelated payments. They approached the offshore account like archaeologists uncovering an ancient site, carefully removing layers to reveal its structure. Each transaction was organized chronologically, spreadsheets built to show inflows and outflows, color-coded sources, tagged dates, and cross-referenced amounts. The financial map that emerged told a story more clearly than any witness could. The earliest deposit, £20,000, arrived in April 2019 from a Los Angeles-based production company called Westridge Media, which specialized in celebrity documentaries and reality shows. On the surface, the payment appeared routine, as entertainment firms frequently paid for consulting services, but a deeper look revealed the company's history. It had produced exactly one minor documentary before this payment, gaining almost no attention, yet after depositing into Lady Maren's account, Westridge suddenly obtained unprecedented access to create content involving former palace staff people, with first-hand stories from Greyhaven House, making the connection impossible to ignore. The connections were impossible to ignore. Payments continued over the months, each one revealing a disturbing pattern. A deposit of £15,000 from a British tabloid's parent company arrived just days after a private family dinner at Windsor Castle, coinciding with the publication of an exclusive story about tensions between Meghan and Catherine, containing details only someone present could have known. In June 2019, £35,000 came from an American public relations firm, and 2 weeks later, several positive profiles of Meghan appeared in major magazines, using nearly identical language and talking points, praising her modernizing influence and commitment to progressive causes, clear evidence of a coordinated campaign rather than organic coverage. Investigators found additional payments linked to specific royal events. £5,000 arrived the day after Meghan attended a state banquet with visiting dignitaries, originating from a celebrity gossip company that subsequently published detailed accounts of private conversations at the event, including seating arrangements and discussion topics that should have remained confidential. Perhaps most troubling were payments associated with private family photographs taken at christenings, weddings, and holiday gatherings. Although intended solely for family, several images appeared in magazines or online, with deposits into Meghan's account ranging from £10,000 to £25,000 within days of the leaks, depending on exclusivity. Outgoing transactions revealed a parallel story. Money was regularly moved to American investments, California real estate, New York stock portfolios, and entertainment ventures, indicating that Meghan was systematically building a financial foundation separate from both Harry and the royal family. One transaction in particular drew attention: a £50,000 payment to a Los Angeles legal firm specializing in entertainment contracts and media rights, coinciding precisely with the period when Meghan and Harry were negotiating their exit from royal duties, suggesting she was funding her departure while still actively performing royal duties. The pattern was clear. From the moment she entered the royal family, Meghan had monetized access, influence, and insider information, carefully constructing a hidden financial empire while maintaining the outward appearance of a devoted duchess. And she had done so with a level of planning and sophistication that left the palace in an impossible position. The emergency meeting convened in the most secure room at Buckingham Palace, with King Charles's most trusted advisors, senior legal counsel, and the head of palace communications present. Everyone understood the gravity of the situation. This was not a scandal that could be managed with careful statements or strategic silence. It was existential. Sir Clive Alderton presented the evidence calmly, though the weight of his words was devastating. A member of the royal family had apparently been selling access and information for years, accumulating hundreds of thousands of pounds, with a level of sophistication suggesting deliberate planning rather than innocent mistakes. Legal advisors spoke first, warning that stripping a royal title was far from a simple administrative action. It involved navigating constitutional territory rarely tested in modern times, raising questions of jurisdiction, due process, and what evidence would be legally sufficient. Any action could be challenged in court, transforming a private matter into a public legal battle. The communications team painted an equally grim picture. If the palace moved against Meghan, she would respond with maximum force, leveraging media connections and public sympathy, particularly in America, where many viewed her as a victim of royal bigotry. Any action could be framed as persecution, regardless of evidence. Yet doing nothing carried catastrophic risks as well. If the hidden account were exposed through leaks or investigative journalism, the palace would appear complicit, members of parliament would demand inquiries, and public scrutiny of the sovereign grant could collapse the monarchy's already fragile support. One advisor proposed a middle approach: negotiate quietly with Meghan, present the evidence privately, demand the return of funds, ensure she never used royal titles for commercial gain, and avoid criminal charges or public exposure. William, invited at his father's request, rejected this immediately, arguing that negotiation would give Meghan leverage to demand concessions, threaten public accusations, claim victimhood, and turn the family into villains. Appeasement would fail because Meghan had already demonstrated disregard for family loyalty and institutional integrity. A haunting concern lingered. What of Harry? Stripping Meghan's title would publicly declare her guilty of serious misconduct, forcing Harry to choose between wife and family again, likely resulting in permanent estrangement. King Charles, who had remained silent through much of the discussion, finally spoke, acknowledging the personal pain, the PR nightmare, and the arguments for caution. But then he stated something that shifted the room's energy. The monarchy survived not because of its power, but because of its principles. For centuries, it had represented duty, service, and honor above personal gain, and to allow someone to monetize royal access without consequence would betray those very principles. The consequences of an action were clear. If the monarchy allowed such behavior to go unchecked, it would betray everything it claimed to stand for, rendering the institution a fraud. And no amount of careful management could restore public trust once that belief took hold. The evidence was overwhelming, the behavior indefensible, and some lines, regardless of personal cost or political fallout, could not be crossed without response. Meghan had crossed those lines repeatedly and deliberately. The meeting ended with consensus. King Charles would review the evidence personally and make the final decision, though everyone understood the direction he was leaning. Charles spent 3 days alone with the documents, dismissing staff, cancelling appointments, and locking himself in his private study at Clarence House. Neat stacks of bank statements, corporate filings, and transaction records covered his desk, each page a betrayal of trust and violation of principles he had spent his life upholding. He read everything multiple times, searching for an explanation. Perhaps Meghan had been poorly advised, perhaps unaware of rules, perhaps there was context that mitigated the misconduct, but the more he read, the less plausible such excuses became. The sophistication of the financial arrangements proved deliberate intent. Layers of corporate entities to hide ownership, payments timed to coincide with royal events, monetization of access to private family moments and confidential information. And the architect of this deception appeared to be his daughter-in-law. Charles thought constantly of Harry, his younger son, vulnerable and seeking belonging after losing his mother so young. Meghan had offered Harry the partnership, an escape he craved, and he had chosen that promise over family counsel. Now Charles faced the prospect of telling Harry that the woman he loved, the mother of his children, had used the family for financial gain, and admission that would likely destroy whatever fragile connection still existed between father and son. Harry would defend Meghan, refuse to believe the evidence, and accuse the family of persecution, making the rift permanent. Yet Charles also considered William, his heir, and the future of the monarchy. William had warned them about Meghan before the wedding and had been proven right. Now Charles needed to act with the courage to uphold that truth. Beyond family, he wrestled with institutional responsibility. He had waited his entire life to become king, endured decades of criticism and public scrutiny, rebuilt his reputation through dedication to charity and environmental causes, and ascended to the throne with a vision of modernizing the monarchy while preserving its dignity. If he failed now, the message would be clear. Royal titles could be exploited for personal gain with impunity, and public trust would evaporate. Charles consulted constitutional experts about legal mechanisms for removing titles, confirming he could request Parliament to strip them through an act or issue letters patent through royal prerogative, both paths public and controversial, yet legally sound. Privately, he consulted the Archbishop of Canterbury, not about law but conscience, questioning whether public punishment could be reconciled with mercy. The Archbishop reminded him that mercy without accountability was false mercy. It enabled continued wrongdoing and harmed others. On the fourth day, Charles emerged from his study, called Sir Clive Alderton, and issued clear instructions. Meghan's titles would be formally removed, but before any public announcement, Harry would be informed privately he deserved to hear it from his father, not from a palace statement. Charles resolved to write to Harry personally, explaining the evidence with honesty, expressing love for his son, even while taking action against his wife, and offering him a choice: stand with Meghan and accept permanent distance from the family, or acknowledge the truth and begin rebuilding trust. He wrote the letter by hand, sitting at his desk with fountain pen and royal stationery, weighing every word as though this might be the last meaningful communication with his younger son. Hours passed, multiple drafts were discarded, and he finally struck a balance between compassion and clarity. The letter opened with an expression of love, reminding Harry that nothing could change the bond between father and child, recalling memories of joy unconnected to duty or institution. Then Charles shifted to the painful present, describing the palace investigation and the financial irregularities linked to Meghan, including the offshore account, suspicious payments, and the systematic monetization of royal access and information. He acknowledged Harry's love for Meghan, affirming he was not asking him to stop loving his wife, but he urged Harry to consider the evidence objectively. The letter made the palace's decision clear. Meghan's royal titles would be removed. She would no longer be styled Her Royal Highness or Duchess of Sussex, and the action was institutional necessity, not personal vengeance. Charles offered Harry a choice, emphasizing that neither option would be easy, but both were available: stand by Meghan and risk permanent family estrangement, or accept the reality, work with the family, and begin rebuilding trust. He concluded with another reaffirmation of love, assuring Harry of his availability and hope for eventual reconciliation, while stressing the decision's finality and the overwhelming evidence behind it. The letter was sealed personally and sent via diplomatic courier directly into Harry's hands at his California residence, ensuring he would receive it privately with time to process. When Harry signed for the envelope on a Tuesday afternoon, he immediately recognized his father's handwriting and felt his stomach drop. Reading the letter alone, his expression shifted from confusion to disbelief to anger. Certain passages were reread, but the meaning was unmistakable. His father accused Meghan of financial misconduct, was stripping her titles, and demanded a choice between wife and family. Harry's hands shook as he finished reading. He called his father repeatedly, left messages, sent urgent texts, and finally, hours later, Charles returned the call. In less than 10 minutes, the conversation ended with Harry shouting about persecution, accusing the family of bigotry, and refusing to accept the evidence, while Charles remained calm, reiterating that the investigation was complete and the decision final. Harry declared he would stand by Meghan no matter what, and hung up, effectively severing the connection between father and son. The palace proceeded with the public announcement, scheduled for 10 a.m. on Thursday to dominate the day's news cycle, while ensuring media preparedness. After days of careful drafting by communications staff, the statement went live across all official channels, including the royal website, social media, and direct feeds to accredited journalists. It confirmed that, following a comprehensive financial review, serious concerns had been identified regarding the conduct of the Duchess of Sussex during her tenure as a working royal, specifically financial arrangements violating established protocols. The statement declared that, after careful consideration and consultation with senior advisors, His Majesty the King had decided to remove Meghan's royal titles and styles, effective immediately, emphasizing that the decision was grounded in substantial evidence, institutional principles, and the necessity of protecting the monarchy's integrity. The palace statement had deliberately avoided specific accusations. It did not mention the offshore account, the payments, or the companies involved. Legal counsel had insisted on vagueness to avoid defamation lawsuits, while still justifying the unprecedented action. The final paragraph expressed regret that circumstances had arisen, reaffirmed the royal family's commitment to integrity, and noted that difficult decisions were sometimes necessary to protect the institution, adding that no further comment would be provided. The media reaction was immediate and explosive. Within minutes, major news outlets issued breaking news alerts, television networks interrupted programming, and veteran royal correspondents admitted they had never witnessed anything like it. Social media erupted, with hashtags both supporting and condemning the decision trending simultaneously. Families argued at dinner tables, and opinion was divided almost instantly. Within an hour, the Palace Communications Office was overwhelmed by hundreds of media requests for interviews, briefings, or access to officials, all of which were denied. International coverage followed, with American networks analyzing whether the royal family was exhibiting bigotry or responding to genuine misconduct, while European outlets examined the constitutional implications. The story dominated global headlines, briefly affecting British tourism stocks, while betting companies suspended services amid unprecedented uncertainty. Meanwhile, in California, the loudest silence came from Harry and Meghan. Their representatives issued no response, social media remained inactive, and security around their Montecito home visibly increased, leaving journalists camped outside waiting. The silence lasted 36 hours, enough time for Meghan to coordinate with lawyers and publicists. When she finally spoke, it was through a statement posted on their foundation's website, carefully crafted for maximum impact. She expressed shock and profound sadness at the palace's actions, denied any financial wrongdoing, and characterized the offshore account as a legitimate business arrangement for managing pre-existing entertainment career assets. Meghan asserted that the palace had always been aware of these arrangements and suggested that the timing of accusations, years after stepping back from royal duties, was vindictive. Most damningly, she framed the palace's actions as motivated by bigotry, claiming that from the moment she entered the royal family as a woman of color, she faced harsher scrutiny, while white family members engaged in similar financial practices without consequences. The statement announced she was consulting legal counsel regarding potential defamation claims and reserved the right to pursue remedies to clear her name. Meghan positioned herself as a victim of institutional bullying, protecting her family from an organization that had never truly accepted her. The response was strategically brilliant. It shifted public focus from her alleged misconduct to the motives of the palace, transforming what had been framed as a financial scandal into a racial justice and institutional fairness narrative. News outlets now had to cover accusations of bigotry alongside the title-stripping story. Celebrities voiced support. American talk shows devoted segments to palace bias, and civil rights organizations publicly expressed concern, amplifying the intensity and global reach of the narrative. In the United States, public opinion initially turned sympathetic, portraying Meghan as a woman persecuted by an outdated and discriminatory institution. Meghan's lawyers released a separate statement threatening legal action if the palace released evidence publicly, arguing that financial records were private and that publishing them would constitute harassment. Harry appeared in a video message on social media, looking exhausted but defiant. He stated that he stood completely behind his wife and accused his family of using against Meghan the same tactics that had been used against his mother, insisting he would not allow history to repeat itself. The palace faced exactly the nightmare it had anticipated. Evidence of financial misconduct was being buried under accusations of bigotry, and Meghan had successfully framed herself as the victim. Public opinion in Britain remained divided, but international sympathy overwhelmingly favored Meghan, and the counterattack had landed with devastating effectiveness. Yet the palace had prepared for this. Beyond anticipating accusations of bigotry, they had secured evidence that could not be dismissed or reframed. 3 days after Meghan's statement, a major investigative journalist received an anonymous package. Inside were carefully redacted documents revealing the essential facts. Bank statements showing the offshore account, corporate registration records proving the ownership chain, transaction receipts with dates and amounts, and email exchanges between Meghan and representatives of media companies. The The emails discussed specific payments in exchange for access to information about royal family activities, including one referencing a private family gathering in exchange for £25,000 and another arranging exclusive photographs from a royal event for £15,000. The journalist verified the documents through multiple independent sources, with financial experts confirming the bank statement's authenticity, corporate lawyers validating the registration records, and digital forensics specialists confirming that the email's metadata had not been altered. The story published on a Sunday morning, including photographs of key documents with sensitive information blacked out. It quoted emails demonstrating clear intent to monetize royal access and traced the money flows from entertainment companies to the offshore account with precision. The evidence was overwhelming and undeniable. Public reaction shifted immediately. Those who had defended Meghan as a victim of bigotry now confronted documented proof of financial misconduct. The emails revealed calculated planning rather than innocent misunderstanding, exposing deliberate profiteering from her royal position while publicly claiming persecution. Social media tone changed dramatically, with supporters of Meghan struggling to explain the evidence. While accusations of bigotry persisted among some, their power diminished in light of Meghan's own correspondence discussing payments for royal information. American media coverage became more nuanced. Networks that had previously supported Meghan now questioned whether the palace's actions might have been justified. Meghan's legal team issued a brief statement claiming the documents had been obtained illegally and that their release violated privacy laws. But the damage was done. The public had seen proof contradicting her claims of innocence. The palace maintained official silence, neither confirming nor denying involvement in the leak, allowing the evidence to speak for itself. Sometimes the most powerful response was no response at all. The truth had emerged, and it was exactly what the palace had stated from the beginning. Meghan had systematically and deliberately monetized her royal position, and the hidden bank account was not a legitimate business arrangement. It was evidence of betrayal.